It is finally the Olympic pause, and it couldn't have come at a better time for the St. Louis Blues.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our hockey team here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, I want to talk to you about the Olympic pause. I want to talk to you about moves that I think the Blues will make after the break. And then finally, after the break, predictions. Do I think the Blues are going to lose out? Do I think they're going to win a little bit? We're going to dive into all of that. A little bit of a disclaimer for all of those who are watching on YouTube or listening, just audio-wise. I am sick. I feel like I get sick quite a lot. So if I sound nasally and congested, I do apologize, but I still have a lot that I want to talk about. So again, apologies if it doesn't sound like 100% me. But yes, let's get into it. So it is finally officially the Olympic pause, and it couldn't have come at a better time for the Blues. Not because the Blues could regroup and become a better hockey team. It is because we don't have to torture ourselves watching this team constantly lose games. And I know that sounds very harsh, but I am sincere when I mean that it is very discouraging for all of us to watch the Blues night after night and just lose. The Blues losing, Blues lose, ha ha ha. But seriously, it is super frustrating to just have to experience that. And for me personally, just knowing that there's no Blues hockey for a little bit does make me feel quite excited because we have the Olympics and we have a couple guys that are on Olympic teams. So I'm going to start it off by talking to you about Team Canada. For Team Canada, we have representing the St. Louis Blues, Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko. For Team Switzerland, we have Pius Suter. For Team Slovakia, it is Dalibor Dvorsky. And then finally for Team Sweden, it is Philip Broberg. So each one of them I am rooting for tremendously. And I hope that there is a lot of good with the Olympics. And let me explain. For a guy like Jordan Binnington, and I don't think the Blues are going to get rid of him, but I do think that this is something to build up his confidence. And I feel as if playing for Team Canada, having the best of the best from your country in front of you should give you a set of boosts, kind of like a confidence boost in a sense, right? You also have Colton Parayko. And for me, I am hoping that this is, again, another confidence boost for Parayko. But Team Canada, I mean, they are the team that's favorited to win. But we won't be seeing them play until the 12th. And, well, that's Canada. We'll talk about the other teams. But for me, this is something that I am personally looking forward to. And again, I am just excited to see them take action. It's always very exciting for me. Okay. And then we have for Team Switzerland, as I mentioned, Pius Suter. Again, Suits is one of those players. It's so weird because whenever I think of Suter, I still think of Ryan Suter. But for Pius Suter, I mean, he has such a great shot on net. And I feel like that's been hidden a lot this season. So again, hoping that it can draw some confidence. Dvorsky, we know how I feel about him. Love him. He is the next core player for the Blues. And what I mean by that is he is our future. When I watch Dvorsky play, I seriously feel like I am looking at the future. And it gets me very excited about the possibilities of what is to come. This has been a Blues team all season long that has been struggling. But if there's one positive, it's Dvorsky being called up and doing a really good job in the position that he is in. And then finally, for Team Sweden, it's Philip Broberg. And again, I am a very big fan of Philip Broberg. I think, hands down, besides Parayko, best defenseman on the team. Now, it's interesting because the Blues are really bad when it comes to defense, but yet they have two other defensemen in the Olympics. But what I will say about Philip Broberg is he did deserve that extension, and he's been playing much better. He is more of a offensive mind, right? And one thing that I really wanted him to work on this season was his defense, which is the position that he plays. But I feel as if he excels a lot offensively. And I feel like he has done a very good job this season for what it's worth, playing better defense. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit ironic to all of you, but for me, it just makes sense. And, not for nothing, right? Because I feel like the Olympics, it's going to inspire the players that make a big impact. And I'm more so talking about Binnington, Parayko, Dvorsky, I guess you could say Suter and Broberg, but I feel like especially for Parayko and Binnington, this could really give the guys a boost of energy and momentum. And I also feel as if, too, is that the players that are not in the Olympics get a nice break. And they need that. Like, they actually need that, because think about the mental impact. Now, we're going to take away the impact that this would have on you. And by this, I mean losing all the time. It is probably very mentally draining, mentally frustrating, mentally overwhelming. It's probably a lot. Now, I think with this break and this hiatus and this time that they can spend with family, friends, preferably training, preferably working out, it will allow them to regroup. Now, I think, again, whenever your team is having this bad of a season, you want to be able to preserve the talents for the following season. And what I mean by that is this. A guy like a Jimmy Snuggerud, we know that he's going to be here next season, and we know that he is a big part of the Blues' future. You don't want a guy like him to get too in his head about what's going on this season. While, yes, this season is frustrating. This season is deflating. It's defeating. It's all the words that you could describe a bad season to be, 100%. But I think at the same time, when you think about the future, that's the bigger picture. And the bigger picture isn't how this season comes to an end. The bigger picture is, what are the Blues going to look like in the next 3 to 4 years? That's my question. And it's interesting because with hockey, I feel like things can change in a snap of a finger each season. It's different than some other sports where you have to really build. And I know that in hockey, people talk about rebuilds and whatever, but I personally feel as if, while yes, development is important, and it is, if you acquire a special talent, your team could go from being one of the worst to the best. It depends on the team, obviously, but it's one of those games where one player can make all the difference. So that is why I am hoping for the players like a Jimmy Snuggerud, this gives him time to regroup. Even for guys like Robert Thomas, who'll be coming back from injury, I hope that he is really utilizing this time. This is not the type of season any of us expected the Blues to have. And if you did, please let me know in the comments, because I truly did not. But we are approaching something, and that is called the trade deadline. And there is a reason why I didn't mention certain names when I was talking about how I want some of the players to rest, to regroup, to enjoy some downtime, to get back to work in the gym or on the ice. It is because there is legitimate concern about their security on this team. And I don't want to hear anybody say to me, well, why should we be worried? Don't a lot of the guys have no trade clauses? Yes, but it's up to the player to waive them. And I'm going to talk to you about why I believe that one player in particular might want to consider waiving his no trade clause, and why it would benefit him, not the Blues, but him as an individual, because I do believe that this Blues team isn't going to be a cup contending team for a long time. Cold days, packed schedules, and big goals. That's winter. And when there's not a lot of time to cook, eating well can feel like another thing on the to-do list. That's where Factor comes in. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without planning, prepping, or cooking. One thing that I love about Factor is because I tried it out myself. It is the snacks that you can also get with your meals. I had a delicious gluten-free and dairy-free protein bar that I eat every single day for breakfast. So head to factormeals.com/lockedon NHL 50 off and use code LOCKEDON NHL 50 off and get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. I want to let you know to check out the Everydayer Club. For only $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes of Locked On Blues, both audio and video-wise. And on top of that, there is an exclusive Discord where you can talk with your peers. I call it my friends at this point about the Blues and what's going on in the NHL. So make sure to check it out. Again, the link will be listed down below. So again, make sure to check out lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. When I think about the upcoming post-break moves, I can't help but think about a trade. And I know I teased that I expect this player to waive his no trade clause. And again, this is all speculation in my opinion. There is nothing that this player has said or anybody that I have spoken to with the organization has told me. This is just purely my speculation. I expect Jordan Kyrou to waive his no trade clause. I know that went into effect last summer, and I understand that he likes playing here in St. Louis. But as I mentioned, I said that this will benefit the player, and let me tell you why. Kyrou was on the T-Birds when the Blues won the Cup. So no, he is not a Cup champ, despite many people assuming that he was one because of Robert Thomas. No, Kyrou wasn't playing with that team yet, okay? So he has not won the Cup. I feel like the Blues are years away from being a Cup contending team again. I feel, in my opinion, that he is in his prime at the moment. Being said, right now, if you're looking trade-wise, this would be the best time to think about it from the Blues standpoint. You could get something back in return that's very valuable. But for Jordan Kyrou, wouldn't it benefit him to go on a Cup contending team? Now, he is a top 6 player, no doubt about it. He is. He is speedy. He is great at generating plays, but he also has a really good sense of the ice as a whole. I feel like for him, this is the time to maybe just consider going elsewhere. And it's gonna suck. And listen, I don't want to see him leave. I don't. But here's my genuine concern. The Blues are years away, as I mentioned, for being a Cup contending team. How long do we expect guys like a Robert Thomas, a Jordan Kyrou, yeah, that's really it, to be like the faces of the team? It's going to end up being Snuggerud, Dvorsky, Otto Stenberg, Juracek. And my concern is that Kyrou's prime years will be wasted playing for a team that's not going to go anywhere. Now, let me now go to a Blues perspective because I was looking at this from a Kyrou perspective. I would hate to see him go. I think that he is very beneficial to a rebuild, if you call it, of the Blues. I think that he does generate a lot of offensive dominance, and I don't think he gets utilized enough. I don't think he's appreciated enough. I don't think that we maybe take into account how valuable he truly is. My fear is if he goes to another NHL team, everyone's going to see the potential, the talent that he had, and how the Blues didn't use it effectively. And I feel like we've seen that sometimes in the past with certain players. They end up going to other organizations and they look like a completely different player. It is because the systems sometimes just don't work out. But this is still a down year for him, and I'm not justifying how this season has gone as a whole. I'm just saying overall, looking at him and his NHL career, I feel as if, in my opinion, he's much better than a lot of us make him out to be. And I don't know what teams. I know that there was some rumors about Washington, the Capitals. I don't know. But again, this is going to be a decision that would be up to Kyrou because he is the one that does have that no trade clause. And having a no trade clause is very valuable. It shows, one, that the organization respects you enough to put that into your contract. And he's earned it 100%. When I was talking with Kyrou in November, he told me jokingly, I've never been traded before, but my brother has, as his brother was traded from Dallas's organization to Philadelphia. Now, the reason why I bring this up is he literally has never been traded. So this would be kind of like a shock in a sense, I feel like, for him. I know for me, if all of a sudden I got traded to do like the locked on, I'm trying to think of a team that's like very random. And like the Locked On Lightning podcast, I would be like, no thanks. Because again, that's a really bad analogy. You get what I'm saying though? Like it would just be a shock. So for him, I feel like there is a benefit individually, but looking at it as a whole, I still feel like he is a big part of this rebuild in a sense. But again, I understand that players are going to want to win Stanley Cups. That's everyone's goal. And I'm sure that he wants to win one with the Blues. But sometimes you need to put yourself first in a sense. And that's why I feel like he could be somebody that's traded. Another player that I feel like will be dealt at the deadline, and I feel like this is a pretty obvious one, is Justin Faulk. There was a lot of rumors about him potentially going to Chicago. I mean, not Chicago, Detroit, not Chicago. Russ Cohen, Sportsology, who was on this episode on Friday, talked to me about the rumors as well and the speculation. And I don't know what team Justin will end up on. But what I do know is this. He is valuable. He has had a much better season this year than expected. But he also has a sense of a veteran presence. And he's strong and, he isn't the worst defenseman. He isn't. But he definitely should not be playing on the second pair either. He should be on the third pair. So I feel like that's where we kind of run into issues with Justin Faulk. It is that he's been put in a position that he shouldn't be in. But if you're looking at him on the third pair, yeah, I would say that he could be a very big asset. And the Blues would get something back. Second round pick maybe. Late first round. But they would get something back 100%. In terms of other players being moved at the deadline, I know that we had a trade, so we don't have Nick Bukestad anymore. The names like Tyler Tucker, Oscar Sundqvist kind of roam in my head. Just some guys that you could kind of bundle together in a sense. But I don't expect Robert Thomas to be traded, even though that was like a huge rumor. I don't feel like that would make sense at all. I think Doug is open to listening to anything from anyone, but it doesn't mean that he's actively shopping to get rid of Robert Thomas, if that makes sense. So what do I know? All right, coming up, I'm going to talk to you about what I think will happen with the Blues after the pause and give some end of the season-ish predictions. If you ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring Indeed, it's all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your posts at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone, I would go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I needed. Real experience and not just resume buzzwords. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results. Using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/locked-on. Just go to Indeed.com/locked-on right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms apply. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Luckily, the St. Louis Blues don't play hockey for a little while, so we're going to be able to talk some prospects, Olympics, and some fun stuff. But I do have some predictions for the Blues after the break, as I don't expect this team to continue on in a positive way at all. So the next game that they play again is going to be home, hosting the Seattle Kraken. And then they're going to be home hosting the New Jersey Devils. The Kraken will be on the 26th. The Devils will be on the 28th. I feel as if the Blues are going to lose both of these games. I don't see the Blues winning anytime soon. They go on the road, and I think it's been like 40-something days since the Blues last went on the road. They are 100% going to lose to the Wild. They're going to lose to the Kraken. They're probably going to lose to the Sharks, probably going to lose to the Ducks. I know this is not a good prediction, but am I the only person that looks at the schedule and thinks to themselves, I don't know when this team could win? When you were at the bottom, and I'm not even just talking standings, I'm talking in statistics in every single way. So not just the wins, losses, I'm talking in every single way, goals against, everything, right? The Blues are in the bottom. So for me, it's really hard to look at the schedule and think, well, they can come out of it. I think with the trades to potentially trading away Justin Faulk and potentially another player, I think that's going to create some more issues. And I think that for the Blues, it's a good thing that this will create issues because they have something that they need to get. The first overall draft pick. The last time that the Blues had the first overall pick was, I believe, with Eric Johnson, EJ, who actually just retired, which, again, it's so bizarre because I remember when he was drafted, which is, in my opinion, again, I'm going to go on a tangent, but like the whole golf cart incident, everything, it's like crazy, but that was the 2006 draft, right? And while maybe he didn't turn out the way that he was dealing with injuries, like there was things that, happened, right? I still feel like tanking for McKenna or Stenberg or whatever at this point is beneficial. But I do feel as if, personally, McKenna is going to be your best option. And I'm still going to stand by that. On Friday's episode, we talked about how the felony charges against Gavin McKenna were dropped. So I don't expect anything to happen in terms of him in the draft at all, okay? I expect everything to be normal is what I'm saying. But when it comes to the St. Louis Blues, I want to talk a little bit about picks. because I feel like this is something where it's very interesting when it comes to where the Blues are, because we have had some higher picks and we've had some lower picks. And I want to remind you that talent, since we're going to talk about picks a lot, Jimmy Snuggerud was 23rd overall. And I have to say, he turned out amazing. So I know that for us, sometimes we can look at the guys that go later in the draft and we think, well, there's no way that they could become something. But they can be. Like Jake Neighbors was 26 overall. So we have had players that have worked out. Thomas was 20. Tage Thompson was 26. Vince Dunn, by the way, he was drafted in the second round, okay? And again, he ended up working out. I mean, Fabry, I know that he's here again, but he was 21st. So again, some of these players, like Barbashev was in the second round. And the reason why I'm saying this, it's just because at the end of the day, it matters when you draft a player, right? Especially in these drafts. But sometimes you have guys that surprise you. And, I got sad when I was looking at some of our history stuff. Alex Pietrangelo. Well, that made me sad. But anyways, talking about early picks. So yeah, the last time we had a first overall pick was Eric Johnson. But I even look at that class and I'm like, ooh. It's fine. No, it isn't, but it's fine. Like, we really don't ever have like high draft picks. I want to say when we got Dvorsky, we were 10th. So that actually was pretty high for us. But we usually like draft mid to late because, again, that's how we always finish. Like Bull Duke, he was like 17th or something. So, again, it's one of those situations where you just have to hope that they tank and they do it the right way. All right. I don't know how I got through today's episode, but for the Blues, right? All right. Again, make sure to follow on social media at Locked On Blues on Twitter, subscribe here on YouTube, or give a follow wherever you're listening, podcast-wise. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.